All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with today's essential oil for families, where we're going to be focusing on how essential oils can be supported for mothers, as well as the littles, as well as the whole family. So this is where we're going to be talking about some of the essential oils, the safety, dilutions, and specific areas that we can support our families with. So let's first start with understanding what are essential oils. So typically, most of the products that we have in our daily lives do say that they might have essential oils in them. However, essential oils are not regulated in the industry. So this is where, as long as an essential oil has 5% of the actual essential oil in it, it can be marked as 100% pure. And that's something that's so scary, especially when we're looking at using natural alternatives for our families and not synthetics, not chemicals, not adulterated compounds that say essential oils. So this is where I'm going to be talking about doTERRA's essential oils. And that's part of the big why, where doTERRA, the actual name, comes from gift of the earth. And that's where these essential oils are truly gifts of the earth. They come from roots, seeds, bark, stems, flowers, so many different areas that come from Mother Nature. And that's where you're able to use each of these products for so many different things and so many different healing modalities that we can use, whether it's sleep, hormonal support, digestive support, supporting your immune system, your cardiac support. There are so many different areas. Your mind, body, and soul can all be completely supported with the benefits of essential oils. So the different ways that you can use essential oils, you can use them aromatically, topically, as well as internally. So aromatic use is one of the most common ways that you can use essential oils. So when you open up an essential oil bottle and you're breathing it in, automatically that aroma is being passed through your nasal passages. It's being absorbed into your skin. The volatile molecules are being passed in and absorbed in. And that's where you're breathing in an essential oil. Breathing in something can automatically change your mood, your mindset. When we go to our mothers or our grandmothers' houses and you smell the aromatics of a home, whether they're cooking something, it brings back memories. It triggers so many different emotions, the same way an essential oil does. And that's where these essential oils have such powerful properties that they can change things. And sometimes we might not understand how it's releasing traumas, how it's releasing past emotions, but that's where they are so powerful that they have that ability to do so. The second way is topical. So when we're looking at creams, lotions, everything that we're putting and applying onto our skins, onto our soles of our feet, when we clean our floors and we walk on our floors, if we're walking barefoot, those are then things that are getting absorbed into our skin, right? So we want to make sure we're using things that are as toxin-free as possible. Our skin is our largest organ, so being mindful as to what we're applying on it and what we're absorbing into it, because whether we're breathing something in, whether we're topically applying it, or whether we're internally ingesting it, our body is still digesting it. So it still passes through our liver, it passes through our bloodstream, and it's getting absorbed in one way or the other. So just being mindful that you're using the right essential oils that are actually pure and potent for that. And I'm going to talk about that later as to how you can actually get these essential oils in your home. The third way is internal ingestion. So when we talk about using essential oils, you can use them in your cooking, you can use them in your food. And this is where essential oils are 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs and spices. And that's where 1 drop of peppermint essential oil is equivalent to drinking 28 cups of peppermint tea. So that's where using little goes a long way. When we're talking about children, when we're talking about pregnant mothers, internal consumption is not ideally recommended. If you have been using oils for a long time and it's not something new to you, then yes, you can consider that. However, it is always advised to make sure you do talk to your medical practitioner or a clinical aromatherapist like myself to understand if it is safe to do so. So let's talk about essential oils for pregnancy, since this is a specific session catered towards mothers. When we're talking about pregnancy, usually we hear a lot of your immune system is suppressed during pregnancy. And that's usually when you're wanting to have the most support. And that's where essential oils can be common during that time. So if we're talking about fatigue, if we're talking about seasonal changes, that's where frankincense, peppermint, marjoram, some of those ones are really great to be using aromatically as well as topically as needed. When we're just finding out that we're pregnant, either in our first trimester or as we're getting closer to birthing and we get into our third trimester, there's a lot of fatigue that might be associated with that. And that's where citrus oils and mints are a great support as well. Again, aromatically and topically, for you to be able to boost your mood, boost your energy levels. And that's where you can find what works for you. So everyone has different preferences in pregnancy and whether or not they're not pregnant as well too, right? We all have our favorite aromas. We all have our favorite scents. So that's where you can find the same chemical constituents in so many different oils that you're then able to pick and choose and customize what works for you and what doesn't. Another great one is muscle aches and tension that you might be feeling in your legs, in your hips, in your lower back. This is a great one where you can make a blend of lavender, Roman chamomile, and ylang ylang, and then also a penetrating oil. So that's where you can do both. So for example, the floral oil helps with the aroma, the relaxation part of it, and then you have your penetration ones, your mints, your firs, marjoram, which help penetrate that essential oil deeper into the skin. And that's where that layering effect comes in. Then you have nausea, vomiting, very common during your first trimester, second trimester, as well as third trimester. So nauseousness, your feeling stomach upset, it's not contained to just your first trimester. It could be at any time. And this is also a great one for infants that are feeling car sick. This is a great one for them as well too, for them to either be using cardamom, ginger, grapefruit, lavender, lemon, peppermint, spearmint. Find what works for you and pick those oils accordingly. There's also an amazing blend called Digesten, which has a lot of those oils already blended and can be used as needed in there as well too. Then as moms, we're getting used to our new bodies, stretch marks, our bellies changing, our thighs changing, our hips changing. You can make a beautiful blend yourself, or we have ready to use blends as well that you can use and apply topically onto your bellies that are safe for you, for baby. And you can use them topically multiple times a day to help reduce any of the symptoms that you might be feeling throughout pregnancy. Then as we're kind of moving towards labor, there's a lot of different emotions that are associated with labor as you're going into labor for yourself, as well as for your partner. So this is where if you're facing a lot of anxiousness, if you're having anxiety, you're feeling quite tense, this is a great one where there's a blend called Adaptive, which is a great one to be using topically on the temples, on the wrist points. Frankincense, a great one to be using. If you're feeling that you're having any Braxton Hicks, which are basically false labor contractions in your second trimester, your third trimester, the first thing that you should always do is hydrate yourself and rest. Bergamot and lavender are also amazing supports because usually they're brought on by additional stress or dehydration. So this is a great way to be using a combination of different supports to have those kind of disappear. Then we often hear of babies that are in the breech position or they're not head down, so in the ideal position for delivery. This is where you can work with a doula to help with shifting the baby moving. You can work with a yoga practitioner to help with shifting the baby as well too, and opening up that belly cavity for baby to come into that ideal position. So peppermint is a great one where it's cooling. So this is where usually if you place something cooling, the baby feels that coolness and automatically turns away from it. And that's where it kind of helps with adjusting away from the breech position. Then we also have blood pressure, labor pain, fatigue. There's so many different options that you can also use for each of the essential oils that are there to support you throughout each of the stages. Postpartum is one of the most important things that mothers need to be supported for, because once the baby comes out, there's so many different supports and support systems that are put in place for baby, but the mother needs to be cared for and loved for as much. So here are some supports that are able to be used for the mother postpartum, and they can be used for hormonal support, so those moods that are changing, because once baby comes out, there's a lot of hormonal changes, a lot of crashing of hormones, and this is where baby blues comes up, postpartum depression comes up. This is where you can use essential oils like ylang ylang, Metapower to basically support you on those. And these are different oils that can be using that are also safe to be using while you're breastfeeding. So either aromatically or topically. Then let's talk about proper usage. So dilutions. So with dilutions for this, there's going to be different massage applications that you can use. There's going to be other alternatives, whether it's a sitz bath, a foot bath, a labor bath. There's so many different ones where I would recommend taking a screenshot of this so that way you're able to see what the dilution ratios are, where a lot of the time it's per teaspoon. However, when we're talking about infants from 0 to 1 month, you generally don't want to be using essential oils on a daily basis, because you want baby to basically be smelling mother and getting mother's aroma as much as possible. On an as needed basis, you would then be doing 1 drop per tablespoon for up to 1 month. And then from 1 to 6 months, you would be doing 2 to 3 drops per tablespoon. And then from there, you can change it per teaspoon. So if you're using an oil, you're probably not going to be using a whole tablespoon across the baby's body. It might be getting a little oily. So that's where you can make roller bottles. You can use different dilution ratios. You can make a larger batch and then store it at the side and use it as needed. So there are so many different options that you can use for the babies. Now, a few of the different ways that you can use essential oils for baby blends. So we've talked about safety and diluting them correctly. This is where here are a couple different recipes that you can use them for some of the most common ailments that we see with babies. Cradle cap, baby acne, tummy, colic that comes up, a little tummy upset. This is a great one to be using, and it is super gentle. So all of these essential oils that are mentioned here are gentle and safe enough to be using for your little ones. Sleepy baby, because we all know that a mother also needs the rest. So each of these oils that are there, for example, if the mother is also having upset stomach, the mother can also be using these same blends. If the mother is looking for extra immune support, frankincense and lemon, either diffusing those or applying those on the bottom of the feet. And when we're doing application for babies, we typically recommend bottom of the feet or up and down the back of the spine. The reason why we say that is because we don't want babies' hands to basically be touching and then going into the mouth. So from there, we're going to be looking at using each of those essential oils in a safe manner, so that way baby is not ingesting, because babies' hands are always going to be in their mouths. And that's where using it safely up and down the spine and bottom of the feet are as effective as applying them on different areas. If you're going to be looking at some of the tummy oils, you can massage it onto the belly, and that's perfectly fine. And then just put up the onesie and zip the baby up. Then we're going to talk about some of the top 5 family essentials that you can use in your home. So for example, we talked about the Zengest, which is also known as Zen. So this is an oil that can be used aromatically, topically, internally for any stomach issues. If you're feeling constipated, if you're feeling bloated, if you're feeling gassy, this is a great one. So for example, even as you're going into your first trimester or postpartum, you're having trouble maybe passing some bowel movements, this is a great one to be topically applying to kind of help relieve your bowel movement as well as easily and smoothly as possible. The next one is immunity and digestion. Oregano is a great one. Oregano, On Guard, those are both great ones to be using for cleaning as well as for immune support. So for example, if people are coming in and out of the home, you can use oregano to be diffused around the home. So that way you're able to kind of cleanse the air, keeping it as pure as possible and kind of disinfecting as much as possible as well too. Then we have lavender, lemon, both are amazing oils. And that's kind of where there's a whole array of each of these essential oils, where there's so many different areas that you can use these in. And that's kind of where I call this the Family Essentials Kit, where it covers everything that you're going to need. So for example, if someone comes home with a cut or a scrape, or if you touch something hot, lavender is a great essential oil for kind of pulling the heat out of your skin. So this is a great one to be using. If a little one is having any ear complaints, or if they're kind of tugging on their ears, I love using lavender and tea tree, just a drop of each, diluting it and applying it behind the ears and pressing down with 1 or 2 fingers in a downwards motion out towards a collarbone to kind of help drain that ear. So with babies, they're not able to communicate. So it's basically if they're crying or if they're giving any signals like tugging on their ears, or they're just kind of having a lot of pain, or like they're feeling that they're a little gassy, this is where you can use those signs to see which oils are best to support them for their wellness as well too. So what we talked about earlier, that kit that's there, there's also now, this is the Healthy Experience Kit, which comes along with a diffuser as well. So for families, when we're talking about essential oils, you're not only wanting an essential oil just for yourself, right? When you're diffusing an essential oil, it's going to be creating and changing the wellness of everyone in the room. And that's where it's so important to be diffusing oils as well too. And for example, if you're diffusing an oil near an infant or a baby, I would recommend not placing it as close to them. So putting it at a distance. Same thing goes for pets, right? If you have pets in the home and you're diffusing, always leave a door open so they have the option to kind of exit and leave the room as well too, right? With infants, it's not, they don't have the ability to get up and leave. So it's being mindful that their noses are a little more sensitive than ours. The next kit that I'm going to talk about this month is the Home Essentials Kit. So for example, if you're wanting to get a little further invested into your wellness journey and you want to get a larger diffuser as well as a carrier oil that comes with it, the fractionated coconut oil, where these are all now 15 ml bottles, except for the deep blue rub, where with this month, you also get a free extra bottle of 15 ml frankincense. So that is an 8,000 rupee savings in addition to everything else that you're saving. So this is one that I would highly recommend, that if you're looking to start on your essential oil journey, this is the kit to be getting, because this will get you set for at least a couple months. And that's where each bottle, each 15 ml bottle contains about 250 to 280 drops of essential oil. and you're only using 1 or 2 drops at a time. When you're putting it into a diffuser, you're using 4 to 5 drops. Depending on the size of the room, you may be using more, you may be using less. So that's kind of where one essential oil bottle can last you months, it can last you a year, and that's where they are 100% safe. And each bottle also has an expiration number on the bottom of their bottle. So each expiration is usually 2 to 5 years, and they're completely safe to use. I would just keep them out of direct sunlight, and you're ready to go to use them at any time. So there's 2 options for purchasing the oils. You can purchase the oils at retail. So if you've been invited to the class by myself or whoever has invited you to this class, reach back out to them. Otherwise, you can use my ID and my website that's there, mydoterra.com/Zarine Barta. You can reach out to me by my phone number and purchase the oils via retail. Or the second option is setting up an account yourself and getting 25% off of every oil. That's the best option. There is no cost to set up a membership account. It is free to be able to access the wholesale prices. So if you're looking at getting oils, I highly recommend setting up that wholesale account. And once you do, send me a screenshot of your order so that way I'll be able to get your welcome gift sent across to you. We'll go ahead and open it up to any questions. If anyone wants to schedule a one-on-one consultation, I am a certified clinical aromatherapist where we can set up if you have any other contraindications, if there's any other ailments that you're concerned about or any other medication that you're on, we can set up a consultation to go through any other contraindications to make sure that you're using essential oils in the safest way possible. So we'll go ahead and stop the sharing. If anyone wants to unmute themselves and ask any questions.